Well, no matter what the weather, the move from Stapleton to DIA is already underway.
Fleets of equipment are taking 56th Avenue to DIA. Other vehicles are using I-70 to arrive at the new airport.
We begin our coverage of this historic transfer at Stapleton Airport. News 4's Kimberly Drake joins us live on 4 from a familiar spot, press parking in front of the terminal.
All too familiar, Ray, but soon it will be just a memory. Actually, it's been an incredibly busy day here at Stapleton with long lines of cars trying to drop passengers off, long lines at some of the security gates and long lines at the ticket counters. Really, really busy with people trying to get in and out of Stapleton before they stop flying out of here. And people have had some really mixed feelings about saying goodbye to Stapleton.
Stapleton International Airport.
It was a day like any other day at Stapleton. The sun rose, silhouetting the control tower. People hugged each other goodbye. Sky caps loaded bags. But it was different. It was Stapleton's last hurrah, and many were ready for the change.
I think it's going to be 100% better than this airport is. It's a lot bigger, got more international flights, get to meet all kind of people out there.
Some passengers were nostalgic. Others were looking forward to DIA.
I'm not going to miss the drop-off here at Stapleton because it's so crowded. So I'm looking forward to the wide open spaces at DIA.
What are you going to miss?
The easy access, the closeness to town.
Many of those who work at Stapleton said DIA would make life easier.
I won't miss the delays when the weather gets bad. Hopefully the new airport with its more capability to handle more traffic when the weather's bad.
But some employees said Stapleton held many good memories for them.
And Stapleton kind of holds a little special place in our, especially in mine. This is basically where I first started. You know, my humble beginnings all the way through the airline business started here. So it's like, remember all those nasty snowstorms that we used to go out there in the ramp and everything. Just so many memories, just basically.
This store was practically empty. Its clearance sale cleared the shelves.
It is sad because you've made a lot of real nice friends and met a lot of real nice customers. So it is sad in that respect.
While many people said goodbye to Stapleton, aware that this would be the last time they flew out of here. For some, it was just another day. For others, of course, it's a very important day. And remember, we only have about 8 hours of flying actually left in and out of Stapleton. In fact, let's go over that. The last flight that is coming into Stapleton is a Delta flight from Dallas. It's flight 569, and that will fly in at 7:59. The last flight out of Stapleton is a DP Express flight. It's 2391. It's going to be on its way to Steamboat Springs at 8:15 p.m. And actually at 12:01 in the morning, that's when the air traffic controllers shift over to DIA, and basically air traffic control stops here at Stapleton and the place shuts down. We will know a little bit later in the hour what's actually going to happen to Stapleton. A lot of different ideas on the drawing board, and about 12:30 we'll have a live interview with Tom Goujon, who will tell us a little bit about plans for Stapleton's redevelopment. Back to the studio.
Kimberly, it's already starting to look very stripped down and bare behind you.
You know, it's really calmed down from this morning. There was a big push to get passengers out of here this morning, and things have really sort of churned down from what they were, but we've still got a lot of activity.
All right, thanks very much. Kimberly Drake reporting from Stapleton Airport.
Monitoring that situation from Cockpit 4, along with pilot Mike Silva and photographer David Gregg. Luann, I guess we can talk to you now.
You bet. We will be happy to talk to you. The controllers here at Stapleton must be in an especially good mood. They have let us in especially close to the tower this morning. So this is a very good look at the last few hours, the last waning hours of Stapleton's long service to the Denver area. We see a lot of activity still on the A and B concourses, but over there at C and D, it is very, very quiet. 1 or 2 planes at the most. So you can definitely see that the airport traffic here is winding down. Now let's take a look at the graphic that will indicate just what route the convoy will be taking this afternoon. As of 1 o'clock, the east-west runways will shut down. That will open those runways and taxiways for service for the convoys here. They will go east along the runways and taxiways, north on Havana, all the way up to 56th and then east again on Havana out to the south entrance to DIA. And be advised, this stretch of Havana will be open to the public, but only in the sense that there is one lane each of north and south traffic. The southbound lanes will be closed to accommodate that convoy. Once again, live in Copter 4 over Stapleton. We will be here this afternoon, weather permitting, and we'll keep you apprised on how the convoy is moving along and how the traffic here at Stapleton is very steadily, but most decidedly, winding down. Ray, Philip, back to you.
Thanks, Lou. That was an incredible close-up. We're grateful for the good mood of the controllers there. Thanks, Lou Ann Aiken reporting.
Well, so what's it like?
Really cold in case of bad weather. Weather that Marty told you earlier in the show is forecasted for tonight. Freezing rain, snow, 1 to 2 inches. The city says, barring a blizzard, nothing will stop this slow-moving route. As 23,000 airport employees, 12,000 vehicles are expected to move in an 18-hour affair. The move begins at 1 this afternoon. The roads will be closed off at 12:30, ends tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. You can see the lights here. These lights are here for an obvious reason, because tonight, in the middle of the night, the crews will be moving, probably stopping off at these popular spots, the emergency shelters. Denver police officer behind me told me that this is a cake assignment, probably doing a lot of sitting and waiting, but he gets to witness Denver history firsthand. He's certainly glad about that. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Katie.
Well, if you happen to drive down I-70 this morning, you probably noticed that the signs leading to DIA have finally been uncovered.
The signs had been taped up so travelers wouldn't get confused about which airport to go to. They were uncovered briefly during the open houses at the new airport, but now they will stay that way for good. The signs leading to Stapleton, obviously, are now being taped up.
Thanks to Bill Stewart. We'll be checking in with you several more times this hour. Now let's go to Stapleton Airport and our own Amy Sporer. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Larry. You know, there's a real feeling of nostalgia here this afternoon at Stapleton. Your hometown airport holds a lot of memories and really a wide range of emotions. Think back about the last time you were here. Maybe you were excited because you were picking up a loved one or a friend, or maybe you were anticipating a trip yourself. Or maybe you were feeling a little frustrated because your flight was delayed, or maybe your bag was late. Or perhaps you were saying goodbye to someone as you were putting that person back on the airplane, saying goodbye to a loved one. Well, that's what we're doing this afternoon. We're saying goodbye. What's next for Stapleton? Well, a lot of that is still up in the air at this point. King Soopers has some plans to use some of the buildings here as a huge warehouse, but this is an 8-square-mile area nearly, and so they've got to figure out what to do with all of this land. Stapleton has a redevelopment committee, and they are looking into making all sorts of plans and proposals. The major one would include a lot of open space, a lot of parks in this area. They would also want to make 8 more neighborhoods here, and over the next 40 years, they'd like to create 30,000 jobs and 10,000 new homes. So there's a look at the future of Stapleton. Let's take a look now at the present, today. Here's what's going on today. Flights into Stapleton have already been dramatically reduced. Transportation Secretary Federico Pena is set to arrive here about 4:40 this afternoon from Washington. Of course, as Denver mayor, he worked tirelessly for the new airport, and he's taken his share of heat for some of its problems, too. But he'll be here tonight to see the end of Stapleton and the beginning of DIA. Here's how it will all transpire. The last flight into Stapleton is a Delta Airlines flight 569 from Dallas, and it's scheduled to land at 7:59 this evening. The last flight takes off 31 minutes later. Continental Airlines Flight 34 from Denver to London is going to be the last passenger flight out. 200 people booked on that flight, scheduled to leave at 8:30 tonight. At 12:01 then, tomorrow morning, the morning of the 28th, the Federal Aviation Administration will transfer all flight operations from Stapleton to DIA. And with that, the 65-year history of this airport comes to an end. Stapleton Airport officially will be no more. News 4's Kimberly Drake was out here this morning. She talked with some of the employees and some of the passengers who are here on this last day. Here's her report.
Welcome to Stapleton International Airport. You may stop only long enough to load and unload. Please do so quickly.
The sun rose for the last time on Stapleton Airport. Tomorrow, it will be an airport no more. People will no longer kiss each other goodbye here. The hustle and bustle at the curb will soon be quiet.
The things I miss out here mostly is my mountain view. I won't have that at DIA, most of all.
But some are excited about the new view, the new airport.
Yeah, something new, something special. I just go walk around for a while just to look and see what I can see. Just to get all the sights in while I can.
Passengers had mixed feelings about saying goodbye to Stapleton.
I'm ready for the new one to open because this has gone on way too long.
It's neat to be here the last day.
What are you going to miss?
The easy access, the closeness to town.
Some passengers are going to miss feeling secure about checking in their luggage. This man is flying out of Stapleton and back into DIA tomorrow. He doesn't want to risk checking his bags.
I'm a big checker. I always check bags. I like to have room for my feet and whatnot on the aircraft, so this is pretty unusual for me.
At the tourist information booth, they were packing up and getting ready for an onslaught of new questions at DIA.
People have a 5-hour layover, and what can they do in 5 hours? So from Stapleton, we can send them on a cab or something to the Natural History Museum or to downtown. But from DIA, for even a 5-hour layover, I'm going to be really anxious and nervous about sending anybody anywhere outside of the airport.
It's time to pack up, move on, let go.
I thought I'd come down here for the last time and just basically say goodbye.
While this was an emotional day for some, others won't even remember they were a part of Denver history. Kimberly Drake, News 4.
Of course, you can't just move an airport overnight. A lot of it's been going on over the last several months. A lot of it, though, is still going on today. Let's go to News 4's Katie Keeper, who is at the launch point over in Concourse D. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Amy. There are some wicked winds here on the roof overlooking Concourse D at Stapleton Airport. As you said a little earlier, throughout Stapleton Airport, you could find people taking pictures and saying their final goodbyes to the 65-year-old Denver landmark. In fact, at 2:45 this afternoon, United's ceremonial last flight from Stapleton, flight 1850, departed gate B-18 for Washington Dulles. Outside, some 50 United employees gave their final salute. They said so long to Stapleton. As you said, the transition from the old airport to the new actually began this morning. 500 United employees loaded their trucks and vans and joined the massive parade to DIA. Paul Day joins us live on 4 from the parade route. Paul?
Hi, Katie. We're out here at 56th and Peoria. Behind me, you can see just a small part of this giant convoy. When they come past this checkpoint, they're about 15 minutes into what is about a 90-minute drive between Stapleton and DIA. This is very typical of what you see coming along on the convoy here. It's a little baggage tug pulling about half a dozen baggage carts. And as I say, there are hundreds and hundreds of these things that are going to be moving along this route. Let's take a look now at some of the casualties, some of the breakdowns, if you will, from this convoy. United Airlines in particular has had about half a dozen units that have broken down, but that's only about 1% of their fleet, so they're doing pretty well. They have some 600 tugs and a couple thousand baggage carts to move between Stapleton and DIA. Let's show you now the route that they're taking here. We'll go to a map which shows that they are leaving the east side of the airport, getting out on Moline to Havana, then connecting to 56th Avenue, coming past us here, and then moving on to Valley Head Road. It's really about a 20-mile trip altogether. And as you can see from my hair, they're really bracing a headwind here as they head out to DIA. They're also prepared for the forecast, which calls for snow. The big question is, when are they going to get that snow? Let's now get back to Amy Spoor at Stapleton.
All right,
Amy?
thanks, Paul. Thanks, Katie. And Larry, we're going to go back to you now. We'll come back out here, though, to Stapleton over the next hour. So back to you for now.
All right, let's talk about that weather now that has been on everyone's mind, especially the people moving out there for the last several hours now since the wind came up with the passage of a front, or at least a front trying to move through the area in the last couple of hours. Let's check outside, see what it looks like out there one more time.
But today is the last time his voice will remind you that violators will be ticketed and vehicles towed away. Down the road at DIA, it's a whole new world.
Welcome to Denver International Airport. You may stop only long enough to load and unload.
In 1995, it's a woman's voice. She's Carolyn Hopkins out of a company in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you travel a lot, you've probably heard her before. She's the voice in more than 100 airports around the country, including at Chicago O'Hare. So, Larry, it won't be long until that's the voice embedded in our consciousness.
Amy, your voice was clipped there a little while ago. The old voice, of course, was Fred Arthur, who's a radio ad man around town for a long time. All right, thanks for the report. We'll be checking out with you just a little bit later.
I'm freezing. It is cold out here. Look at the wind. Look at the flags. Look at my hair. See you later.
A dramatic moment as they arrived at DIA with the main terminal in view. Like everything else this past week, United's part of the parade to DIA arrived ahead of schedule and with fewer breakdowns than anyone expected.
I think I heard on the last report 3 pieces of equipment.
As they found their parking spots along Concourse B, they were all smiles.
It's about time we get over here. Piece of cake. Roads were better than they are at Stapleton.
Had they ever been involved in a parade this big?
No, sir. I think it's the largest one we ever see.
And Ernie, that largest parade that they may ever see has slowed down a little bit, both in this visibility and just getting towards the end of it, although it'll be going on until 10 o'clock tonight as they try to get all these vehicles in here. And an unfortunate turn in the weather is going to make it a little rough to get them all in warm.
All right, Paul, thanks very much, and you stay warm out there, please.
Well, while this is the beginning of a new era in aviation at DIA, it is also the end of an era at Stapleton Airport. This is Stapleton's last day as a functioning airport. Pat Woodard joins us now live from Stapleton with that story. Pat?
You know, Bertha, for 65 years in all kinds of weather, Stapleton has been here, and the memories have not always been the fondest, but I think people are really feeling a little nostalgic today because this is the end of a piece of Denver's history.
522, turn right heading 010, as soon as practical. Welcome to Stapleton International Airport.
E23 is your gate, and you leave at 11:46. You're all set.
It seems like any other day, but this is the beginning of the end.
I really like this place. I've grown to love it, really. And you know things so well around here.
And Pena Boulevard takes you directly into Denver International Airport.
Even now, many people don't seem to believe that this is really Stapleton's last day.
There have been a couple of calls where they say that they understand both airports are going to be running at the same time. So there's a lot of anxiety out there. Miss Silva, Miss Mary Silva, Mr. Sears, Mr. Dick Sears, please come to an airport information booth.
Everyone seems to be just a little flustered.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In a moment, we'll begin the general boarding for 5381, service to Santa Barbara.
Yeah, a 7-hour layover, so we're playing double solitaire. I guess it is kind of a momentous occasion.
Come on, let's have a big one now.
At the east end of the runways, this is a chance to see a bit of history.
We will never have the opportunity to be this close to have a plane fly over us like that.
It's also a chance to say goodbye.
Let's wave, let's wave. All right. Bye-bye.
Very nostalgic moment for people. What happens next? Well, around 8 o'clock tonight, there will be the last flight departing Stapleton. And then tomorrow morning around 6 o'clock, Stapleton will officially close for good.
Pat, I have to admit, being a sentimental softie, I did my symbolic drive-by of Stapleton today on my way out here to Denver International.
You know, I think a lot of people did that. The cars lined up on Havana watching the planes come in. There were a lot of them. Police actually shut the roads down for a while.
Well, a lot of news has happened out there, not to mention a lot of significant events in people's families.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Pat, for that report.
It was a rotten place to be today, and here's one good example as to why. Adele, you may remember this as a place where there were a lot of chairs and a television. It was a comfortable place to be in between flights. Well, there are no chairs virtually in the entire airport. Most of the televisions have been removed. All of the shops and restaurants and stores, they've been shuttered up. So a lot of the amenities were gone, and a lot of travelers today, well, they had reason to complain, and a lot of them did. Some of the phones are already gone, and so are a lot of the television monitors. The escalators are empty or nearly so, and finding a chair is a challenge. Some arriving passengers are none too happy about it.
I think this is a very sad day. And first of all, I think the only seats in the airport are the handicapped seats, and I think that's symbolic of being here today. This airport is really handicapped today.
Trying to kill time between flights is tough at Stapleton, in shops with no merchandise.
Oh, there's nothing left.
Ghost
no
town,
souvenirs.
ghost airport.
Ghost airport, oh, I know.
Before the ghosts take over, there are those wanting to collect some memories.
Memories.
This Northwest pilot wanted pictures of the airport he'll never see again.
I'll miss this airport. I've been coming here 27 years, and I like Stapleton. I always did. So the new one will be a new adventure.
It's the final cleanup
the final markdown, the final goodbye.
See ya.
Bye,
Stapleton. Okay, bye-bye.
So it gets quieter and quieter as we go. Let me mention very quickly, Mayor Pena has arrived, and about 25 minutes ago, and he's very anxious for the official closing down of this facility, and we will have him on live on 9 News at 6. Adele?
Okay, Mark, we'll look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Just a couple of hours ago, United employees waved goodbye to the airline's last flight out of Stapleton Airport. Flight 1850 departed Fort Dulles Airport near Washington, D.C. about 3:30 this afternoon.
9 News reporter Ann Lanker is among the last people at Stapleton in its final hours. And Ann, it must be eerie out there to be in a place that is usually so busy and just watch it fade away into history.
It really is eerie, like a ghost town, Ed. All we have here are empty counters, and as you can see, very empty corridors. The only thing that you hear every so often is the voice of Stapleton urging passengers who are unloading to move on. But the passengers have moved on. In fact, the last commercial flight taxied down the runway at 9:27, and we understand the wheels lifted off. It's headed for London, a continental flight, at 9:39 tonight. 9 News reporter Leanne Gregg has more on the final flights in and out of the 65-year-old airport.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Des Jorgen.
Des Jorgen spent 39 years making final boarding announcements here at Stapleton. He retired a year ago, but was invited back for this final flight.
Anybody with a hitch in their get-along needs a little extra time in boarding, please.
Some of the passengers didn't even know when they booked Continental Flight 34 to London this would be historical. The last flight out of Stapleton ever.
I certainly didn't know anything about it.
But for those who know this airport best, it's a sentimental time.
There's some good times here and some bad times here, and you recall that, and it's been a difficult day.
On a separate concourse, another history-making flight, Delta Flight 569 from Dallas, one of the last scheduled flights to land at Stapleton.
We hope our luggage made it.
We're going to take pictures and frame the tickets, and, so be it.
2 flights help close a chapter in Denver history.
Final call, aboard, please.
That's it, folks. Turn off the lights.
Leanne Gregg, 9 News.
And when you talk about final goodbyes, they are in fact final. If you thought you'd come out here tomorrow for one last glimpse, it's probably not going to happen. I understand they're going to lock things up tight here and protect it. Supposedly there will be a fence around this main terminal. It will look a lot more like Stapleton minimum security prison. Ed, they're serious about security out here and protecting this old facility, 6 decades old.
It's hard to keep from getting a little emotional about that. Don't forget to turn off the lights, okay?
We'll do that right when we leave.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay.
The big push, the massive transfer of tugs, trucks, and jetways from Stapleton to DIA moved a lot faster than expected. We received word just a little while ago that the very last tugs and carts would be leaving there around 11 o'clock tonight. 9 News reporter Phil Keating joins us live from Pena Boulevard in 56, which is just above that push route. Phil, how is it going tonight?
It's going very well. For the most part, the big push is over, about 95% complete. This is 56th Avenue, the main convoy route here. It is empty. We did see a few tugs and carts come through here on their way to DIA just a few minutes ago, but we're told that most of the tugs, carts, and trucks are headed over to DIA and already there a lot sooner than expected. So 56th Avenue, which is closed to normal traffic most of the day, perhaps will open at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 hours sooner than expected. Now, one of the big concerns tonight was for the drivers of the tugs, because as you can see, those vehicles have no roof and no windshield. So with the night's drastic drop in temperature, that made for a very cold drive. But the drivers bared through it wearing those big facial ski masks. And that meant even just a few, stopped for a break at warming tents set up along the routes. And that right there was one of these sights that you will never again see with your own eyes as you drive along I-70. A big jetliner taking off right in front of you. Of course, one of the very unique aspects of Old Stapleton Airport, and now that it's been replaced, I guess that's what we'll call it, Old Stapleton Airport. Adele?
All right, Phil, thank you very much. Well, he said it would, and it is. Mike Nelson was right on the mark with his forecast. Better or worse tonight and tomorrow, Mike?
It's going to get a little bit worse before it gets much better. Even through midday today, folks would stop me on the street and say, you sure this thing is going to come in with the cold air? Well, folks, it arrived pretty much on schedule. I want to show you a radar, first of all, from the National Weather Service's
In
next
Colorado,
radar.
The big new Denver International Airport opens in a few hours. A year and a half late and way over budget. And even as Denver's old airport headed for closure, the new one headed for a hard landing in court. A lawsuit today charging city officials misled investors. Bob McNamara reports.
Saying goodbye can make the mundane seem memorable. At Denver Stapleton Airport today, the last tickets, the last bags, the last flight became bittersweet.
Last flight out of Denver Stapleton International Airport.
Outside, workers began the long drive to the new airport, hauling heavy equipment, and a decade's worth of baggage over whether the new airport should have been built at all.
Hey, we're ready. Let's do it.
Waiting out on the Colorado Plains, Denver International Airport, ready or not. Its Teflon roof, no protection from a hailstorm of criticism.
Denver International
For its location, its long-delayed opening, its $5 billion price tag, and its automated baggage system already famous for all the wrong reasons.
I've said that all along about this airport.
A public works project turned public relations nightmare.
Is it difficult to read what newspapers say? Sure it is. They only have to write about it. They don't have to build it. I had to build it.
Worrying his way through opening day, Denver Mayor Wellington Webb nervously paces the new airport, staying up to meet the first cargo plane at midnight.
We need to get this chapter behind us.
Hoping to finally put his city's airport angst to bed.
I do have a bottle of champagne that I want to open sometime Tuesday.
But for most here, the change is still sinking in.
Thought it'd be kind of neat to come out here one last time.
For days now, at the edge of the old airport, the people who will pay for the new one have been gathering.
We've all lived here all our lives, and this is the last of an era.
For this city, it is a last chance to celebrate and look back and quietly realize people here may have been closer to the old airport than they thought. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Denver.
And Harry Smith will be reporting live from the Denver airport tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
Connie and I will be with